I was born in the late 70s. In my lifetime, we've seen rates of obesity skyrocket. Do we know what's happened to the kind of food we eat as a nation?
We have some very good data from the 1980s up until 2000, looking at the changes in household spending on food.
How we spend our money and what we spend it on.
Exactly.
This represents not just fruit and veg, but all the spending of a household in 1980 on ingredients. So this would also be oil, salt, sugar, meat.
That's exactly right.
So how much were people spending on convenience-ready foods?
So the studies show that 58% of household expenditure on food in 1980 was essentially spent on ingredients, fresh ingredients to make home-cooked meals, as opposed to 26% of household spending on food, which was spent on convenience food.
But look what happened next. Over the following 20 years, our spending on fresh ingredients shrank to just 28%, whilst our spending on convenience foods almost doubled to 44%.
When you lay it out like this, it's a spectacular transformation. This goes from being the majority of our diet to that entirely different category of food being the majority of our diet.
Absolutely.
What's happening to obesity over this period?
It's a shocking change. We see that in 1980, around 7% of adults in the UK were obese. This shot up in the year 2000 to about 20%. So a tripling of obesity rates over the same time we see these transition in our diet.
But has this trend continued? Fast forwarding to what we're eating now, this circle represents our current diet.
Chris, that's a lot of ultra-processed food.
57% of calories consumed amongst the whole UK population is from ultra-processed food. The shocking thing is that actually the number is much higher amongst our young people. So amongst children it's 64%, and amongst adolescents it's 68%.
And there are some people in the UK who are eating a huge proportion of ultra-processed food.
1 in 5 people in the UK population have 80% of their diets coming from ultra-processed foods in terms of calories.
What are the implications for human health?
We know from data which is comparing different countries and also following up people over time that ultra-processed foods are a major contributor to this increase in obesity that we're seeing in the country.
What about falling rates of activity and exercise?
It is an important factor, but the overwhelming scientific evidence suggests that it's diet which is driving the growth in obesity that we've seen.
And yet, most of us have never even heard of ultra-processed food, of UPF.
I mean, that's true, and part of the reason is that it's a new concept. What we can say is the scientific evidence is growing really rapidly, showing the harm of these products.
Not everyone agrees, because while they're strongly linked, major food manufacturers and some scientists don't yet believe there's proof that ultra-processed foods directly cause obesity. But lots of people are convinced.
There's a growing consensus amongst the scientific community that this is a valid and robust approach to think about how what we eat influences our health. And organisations such as the World Health Organization are taking this concept seriously.